Let's try not to get there, right? Let's try to save before we step in there. That being said, I've talked at you enough about that. Let's talk about the stuff that's important for this quarter. The first one, you guys got to know Windows 10 end of life. So on October 14th, Windows 10 goes end of life. This will mean Microsoft no longer patches for security, and they don't provide any technical support for it. This is kind of a big deal. We wrote that twice for some reason. The problem also exists is that our third-party vendors will stop supporting Windows 10 too. Not that it's going to break. October 15th is not like the year 2000 bug, which of course also wasn't too much. It means that every so often, eventually, people are going to they're going to start dropping support for stuff. So products won't work on Windows 10 anymore, or Office stops working, or you can't call for help, or anything to that effect. If you have any kind of compliance requirements, and I mean anything, and for the people in this call who you knew, talking to two of you, and you know who you are, if you are doing ISO or SOC 2, you are not going to be compliant because you have out-of-date operating systems. That's it. There are no compliance frameworks in the world that allow you to have non-manufacturer supported hardware and software. This does not mean that you have to have an active warranty on something, although we recommend it. You don't have to. From a compliance standpoint, you have to be able to get help. And if I call up Microsoft or Dell or any of my security providers and they say, we're not helping you, that means 100% you're not compliant. And Christopher's right. Insurance companies also want to know it's very hard to be covered when you have old stuff. That's just true, everybody. So compliance and insurance, really, really big deal. If you are having old anything, that's a pretty strong indication that you're going to have some challenges. So that's what that means effectively for patching and support. Now, for us, we have a couple of different options at Endsight to help. And we do have a product called ZeroPatch. ZeroPatch is a product that releases security patches for old versions of Windows. It is a stopgap. I do not know that, so I do not think it works quite as well as, Microsoft patching their own software, because it definitely does not. It's something, and it's a way to say we're actively doing security patches, but please know that there is no answer that I can give you that says, hey, we have end-of-life Windows machines or end-of-life third-party applications, like say you have an older version of AutoCAD or Revit or Clio or any one of the other line of business apps that people might be listening to, NetDocs. Your insurance company and your regulatory body are going to say absolutely not. In fact, all regulatory agencies now require continual audits, continual assessment, because the people and process portions are very important. You can't just buy something. In the same way, the technology portion of continually making sure your stuff's up to date does matter. And so our approach is we do have a little bit of a stopgap, but genuinely, everybody, it's be up to date. You're going to hear account managers, ours, or if you're not a client, one of your IT team should say, you have to update this stuff. And the reason is not only will it, of course, eventually stop working. Alan, I'm going to get to you. I like that one. Not, of course, will eventually stop working. But when a manufacturer doesn't support it anymore, even if it does work, you're going to have a real hard time getting coverage. So Alan says, what's going to happen to all the Windows 10 embedded systems and all the ATMs? Two interesting points about that, Mr. Mays. First of all, Microsoft has a version of Windows 10 called the Long-Term Servicing Channel, which has support to 29. That is probably what's going to be in ATMs. So they will still have support. It is a very, very challenging version of Windows to get. And everyone on this call, you probably don't have access to Windows 10 long-term servicing, right? It's a Windows Enterprise thing. It comes with a continual license you got to pay, all that stuff. And a lot of the embedded systems have this specific version of Windows, which we don't really have access to. Our organization has access to it as a testing capacity, but we can't even sell it, right? It's very, very hard. That being said, very large banks, very large elevator organizations, that kind of stuff can pay Microsoft for extended support. It is a thing. You can pay for a very specific thing. Now, Mr. Plunkett knows that ATM companies are going to Windows 11 because he knows. We'll just say that he knows that. So they're probably going to switch eventually. They're going if they don't, when Windows 7 went end of life, a lot of ATM vendors paid a very large amount of money to Microsoft to make a custom support agreement. That is, unfortunately, everyone, not something we have access to. So as much as I'd love to pay Microsoft to support Windows 10 for our clients, they're not going to do it. We're not big enough. Hopefully that's useful to everybody. I say this not because, listen, you're going to get hacked on October 15th, because you're not. Well, I hope you're not. That's my job. But know that you're on a deadline. And when that deadline passes, you're in murky water. So if you have any kind of compliance or insurance and you're answering truthfully, which you really should, because travelers started suing people for not, and the insurance industry is going that way for having false information on forms. They started suing for rescission of policy, meaning not only is your claim not covered, but you never actually had a policy, and here's all your premiums back. All the other insurance companies know that's fraud. That's one of the reasons we take our insurance reviews so very seriously in Endsight. So I think I've kind of beat that horse to death. But the point is, Windows 10's coming. You got about 6 months. Please understand that there's a reason we have to do these things, and it's not your account managers to try to get more money out of you.